What's up, guys? So, I'm gonna get right into it this time, really get right into it, because this is something that's kind of been irritating me. And I will use irritating because it has been irritating me, about leathers for traditionals and how you tie them. Now, I'm always a stickler for saying that there is no specific way that you're supposed to do something. There's never the way, but there's always a way. Now, with that being said, this kind of comes into a little bit of an OCD sort of statement, as well as a little bit on the side of performance. It's how you tie off your leathers. It's not about how the leathers go through the plastic. That doesn't really matter. That's not what we're getting at. And besides, I've already done a video about that. What I am talking about is specifically whether you are a person that ties in the back of the head or the front of the head. And it doesn't matter if you're either or, doesn't matter. What I'm gonna quickly go over is the fact that people need to do it properly so that the leathers don't come undone, as well as it looks good. You want it to look good so that people either A, want to use the same thing that you're using, and B, it actually performs. People say you gotta look good to be good. In the sense of stringing, more often than not, if it looks good, it is actually done well. There are a lot of exceptions, but when you can keep it clean, you can keep it efficient, that's what's important. It's not that it looks super cool and that it performs awfully, then you've completely gone against what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is, whether you tie it in the front or you tie it in the back, you should really focus on how it looks and the fact that if you don't do it properly, it's going to come undone. You don't want it to come undone, because then people are going to laugh at you. Then you're going to be like, man, I got to fix it. I got to fix it real quick. And then you're wasting time where you could be on the wall passing and throwing. The diamonds, and this is an old saying that I've heard before, the diamonds are in the details. And that just, you might have heard other variations of the saying, but basically it's, if you pay attention to the smallest details, it'll take care of everything else that's bigger, that should be worried about, everything like that. It makes the bigger picture easier to worry about, or at least easier to do. So what I'm going to do is going to show you the way that I like to primarily do leathers after I've put them through the bottom, tied them in, gone to the front, gone to the back. Doesn't matter if you go through the front or the back. I like to try and keep as much of the leathers intact as possible, so I usually tie in the back, but after going around the front, and then I tie in the back. But the main reason why I like to tie in the back, and I do this with a lot of sticks, and the main reason is the front of your hand is usually right there, and that causes a lot of friction. And yeah, some people will argue that your hands are always switching, moving up and down and pushing the knots in the back. But the thing is, if you simply tie in the front of the head, all you have is that one single knot there. As soon as that comes undone, ball comes in the pocket, goes too deep, goes illegal, and then you're just screwed. If you at least go around the front of the head like this, you have one tension point, and then you have two tension point by tying in the back. So I don't just do things simply because it looks good. It's because there's a little bit of a method behind the madness. So basically, this is what I like to do. So I like to do is simply, it's so hard to do this on a camera. That's why I don't like cameras. But so we're gonna go end over end. Make sure I'm actually doing it the way that I'm always talking about doing. But okay, we're gonna do hand over hand. So right over left. Okay. Right over left. Wait. I am so awful at this thing. I'm always mixing it up for you guys. I've done it in so many videos, but it's left over right. Sorry. Left over right for me, and then right over left. And what's called a figure eight knot. See how it looks real clean? Kind of is easy to keep it centered. So left over right, right over left. And a lot of people say that's how you do your shoes, so on and so forth. But real simple, left over right, right over left. And it keeps the leathers to the side, which keeps them out of the way of your hands a little bit. But the thing is, it stays centered wherever you want it to go. And then if you keep pulling on these ends prior to breaking or ripping them, it keeps the leathers tight. It keeps them from moving. It keeps them from coming undone. It's a knot that's been around for centuries, millennia, if you really try and go back. It's a knot that works. Try it. Instead of having the leathers, instead of going left over right and then left over right, and then the leathers are all looking all over the place, and then all of a sudden, oh, it came undone. This thing sucks. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I'm getting a little emotional in this video because it's irritating the heck out of me when people blame the fact that they hate a pocket on such a small little thing as this. Okay? So, again, left over right. Left over right, right? Right over left. And keep it as centered as possible. Pull the ends, and voila. Nice and centered. My knuckles go right up against it. That's another reason why I like going around the front and the back, is that when you have your gloves on, I'll actually grab one of my gloves. When you have a glove on, it goes right up into the leathers. It doesn't go any higher than you need it to, any higher than it has to. So it goes up right against the leathers. Yeah, it's probably going to cause it to come undone earlier than you would want it to, but hey, it's pretty much what people do with their strings, okay? So that's what Trad Method Monday is, guys, is me kind of being a little bit of a stickler about how to tie off leathers. That's how I primarily end my leathers, whether it's in the front or the back. Yes, this one, Candy, simply goes to the front and does that knotting, but that's because of the length of the leathers. That's one thing that you have to kind of pay attention to, is the length of the leathers. Like with your rocket pockets, they will wrap around the front and go around to the back like I do, or at least I try to do. So it's not just me trying to do it, it's a lot of different people that do it. And it makes sense, guys. Try it. Please try it before you go like, Phil doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. Oh, he's just trying to make everybody do the same thing. No, I'm trying to show you a proper way to do something, because there are way too many people doing it wrong in the first place for there to even be a way that they can claim that they do something. Alright, listen guys. So, I know I was talking about tying off your leathers and everything, and I showed you a little bit of how I like to do it. Just take your time, guys. I'm always saying it. Take your time, learn how to do something. Don't rush it just because, oh, it's the very last thing to do. Tying it off, put in the shooters, and it's done. It's done. It's finally done. Now I can break it in. Don't do that, guys. Like, I know I'm always saying patience, take your time. I'm always reiterating all these different things that you need to do when you're stringing a traditional pocket, and it applies to any pocket. Don't mind the storm. It's storming, oh my god. Don't mind it. Just, guys, traditional is something that is a very vital part of lacrosse. Okay? It's not something that you can just rush through and be like, oh, I'm the best at. I've been stringing for the better part of 12 years. I don't know everything, but I know a lot, and I'm okay with people making mistakes and everything. But if you see that somebody like myself or maybe even Throne or Shane Whittle or anybody that's been doing this for a long, long time, you gotta take in the little things that they're doing. You can't just take in the big things. You can't just focus on, oh, that's cool. You gotta look at the entire picture and analyze it and decide, is this what I want to use? Is this going to be what makes my pocket work perfectly for me? That's what I mean by patience. That's one of the biggest things when I'm helping somebody or trying to point something out to someone. It's like the reason why I'm pointing it out is for you to take in that info and apply it. Not just to put it out there and be like, oh, this is what I would do. Oh, thanks, Phil. No, it's taking this information, this knowledge that's being shared with you, and apply it if you can, or if you choose to. But don't just disregard it as something that's like, oh, this isn't going to do anything for me. This isn't cool, blah, blah, blah. That's where you fail. Right there. So, I know that the last part of the video cut off. I don't really care. That's just how it's going to be. And this is kind of how things are going to go from now on when I do my videos. You guys have kind of noticed a little bit more of an emotional state with me. This is my lifestyle. Being open, being blunt, saying what's on my mind, whether it's with a life that you're living or the actions that you're doing when it comes to a traditional stick. If you come into my shop and you listen to what I have to say, you'll notice the same exact way that I talk. It's not just in videos. So, hopefully you guys got a little bit of something from this as well as what I'm talking about now. And hopefully you guys take the time, learn from what you see, what you do, and apply it later on. So, TMM, signing off. I'll catch you guys later.